So we're going to start with a little meditation, and I would like to just already start by kind of normalizing meditation, because I think in the West we've perhaps misunderstood what it may be all about, and meditation is both a formal and an informal practice. And this means, in a sense, meditation is actually our life. So right now we're going to be practicing a little bit of a formal practice where I'll be guiding. But obviously, when I stop guiding and ask you to open your eyes, even though your eyes, even if your eyes have been closed, and you can open them, then actually the meditation continues, because it's actually noticing where's your mind when I speak, or when the next speakers speak. Are you judging something? Is something happening within you? So the practice actually never ends. So it's a bit of a misconception that, of course, we have to practice formally to train, like we train everything else, but life is our continual practice. And for me, it's so important that we integrate these practices in these, one could say this is somewhat of a corporate setting, so we remember, because meditation is really about returning to ourselves and remembering ourselves. And with all this going on, it's so important that we return to this wisdom that we have deep within us, right? Yeah, I think we can agree on that. So, yeah, a beautiful crowd right here, and yeah, I'm looking forward to guiding you. And I don't, today, sometimes I use a bell. Today I won't use a bell. So just, I hope you feel very safe, and I will let you know when to open your eyes if you decide to close your eyes. Yeah? Yeah, so you're very welcome to, again, just close your eyes if that feels safe for you. And just allow yourself to close your eyes right now. If it feels better for you just to find a spot on the ground in front of you or somewhere else, then you're welcome to rest your gaze right there. So you can just start by paying attention to perhaps your feet on the ground, and yeah, sensing the ground below you. Perhaps if your feet are pointed a little inwards, you can just gently bring them a little outwards, so they point out, opening up a little bit for your space. Not too much, just a little bit. You can really sense your body and kind of your tailbone touching the chair you're sitting on. Yeah, just straightening your back, and this whole foundation, the sitting, is so important. Of course, you can kind of have a soft, open way of sitting, but it's not relaxation, it's a deep wakefulness. So again, just straighten your spine, bringing your stomach perhaps a little forward, softening your stomach, shoulders back. Or just lowering your jaw a little bit. Softening the muscles in your face. Yeah, you're right here. Contact to the floor, contact to the chair. Jaw down, soft face. And then just slowly see if it's possible. You can just allow your mind kind of land in your breath. And as your breath lands even more in your body, and your body lands even more in the chair, the connection to the ground. And then just welcoming everything there is. Restlessness, worry, perhaps you're planning, recognizing, are you trying to push something away? Are you going towards something? Liking, disliking. So the practice is welcoming it all, allowing it to be. Not trying to get more of something or get away from something. This is it. It's everywhere you go, everywhere we go, that's where you are. Yeah, and again, just kind of softening the front of your body, perhaps moving your shoulders a little bit, loosening the jaw, forehead, checking in with your backside, spine, and then perhaps we can all just take a deep breath together. And then just as we breathe out, we can kind of recalibrate the energy of the room, the space, arriving here together. Yeah, and whenever it feels right for you, if your eyes have been closed, you're welcome to open your eyes, and really keeping your posture. And I will just quickly, just sum up a few facts about our attention. Yeah, so 47% of the time, our attention is somewhere else. So this means, actually, we're nearly missing nearly 50% of our lives. Yeah, that's a lot. We have between 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. There's a lot going on up there. Yeah. And research suggests that 70 to 80% of our thoughts lean negative, not because life is bad, but because the brain has a natural negativity bias wired to scan for threat. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense to try and pay attention to what's going on. What's going on up here, right? And 90 to 95% of our thoughts are repetitive thoughts. That's also quite a lot. So the subconscious mind is increasingly powerful, controlling between 90 to 95% of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Wow. So I'm just going to end by something I read, and I'm sure you all know him very well, by Yuval Noah Harari. Yeah? So what he said is machines can process information, they can simulate emotions, but they do not suffer. They do not wonder why we exist. They do not meditate. Harari himself meditates 2 hours a day, a practice that he says grounds him in what it means to be human. He believes that this awareness, knowing what's going on, and he says in the inner world of reflection, may remain uniquely human, at least for now. Yeah. So thank you for your time. And let's just remember that life is our practice always, so we can stay human and connected to our deep, innate truth that we all have within us, so we can create from there. Yeah, always. Thank
it starts, I think. But let's get started now with ClawCon Copenhagen. The sound is a bit off, right? Or it's okay? Okay, great. Let's go back. Here we go. Okay, so who has embraced the Claw? Can we put some hands up? Okay, keep up. Who has embraced it? I just want to see. Okay, so maybe almost half the room, a bit more. Thank you. And also, who's technical versus non-technical? Technical people, hands up. Okay, great. Non-technical folk. Awesome. Non-decided, all good. In the middle. Transitioning, moving. Is AI on your WhatsApp yet? Are you texting? Is OpenClaw set up? All the way. Signal, Telegram, whatever. Telegram. Slack. Yeah, Slack. Awesome. Telegram, yeah, Telegram. Signal, anything. Ever wished your computer could just do things for you? That's cool. Welcome to the right room. We already relaxed, we took a breath, and let's start clawing now. So, most of you might know this, so I'll just repeat it anyway. What is OpenClaw? It runs on your machine. It could be any kind of machine. It sort of lives in your chat apps. You can start talking to it from there. It remembers you. It does things for you, and it's open source. So you can hack it, so people can do things with it, and you can run it in a way that makes sense for you. ClawCon Copenhagen has been brought to us by Imad and Amir. You'll be hearing from them soon again. Thank you so much, guys, for making it happen. It's been awesome to be part of it. Also, my name is Geet Kosla. I'll be your MC for the night. Short intro on me. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been running tech companies for about 18 years, and the last 10 have been in deep tech. The last 4 I built an awesome company, building the largest index of research papers in the world, and currently I help companies and do research at the small AI lab. Let's just start playing with this. Malti, can you pull the timeline in? Here we go. So now we have an awesome program for you. We have 7 speakers plus 1, so 8 speakers with 7 slots. We'll go through a variety of things. I'll intro people, and then we'll see how it goes. I'm hearing some feedback, but is it good for you guys? Can you guys hear me all right? Just want to make sure. Check. Awesome. Let's get started with the first speaker. Here are all the speakers. You just had Maria, as you know. We're going to start off with, first of all, inviting all the speakers up to stage. Can you come to stage? Sit here. So it's easier for the round robin changes. And the speakers, you're going to have to be signing a lobster after your talk, and then one lucky winner will win. We have a little game in the middle. Thank you, guys. Let me just introduce Philip, and you can get started. Philip is the developer relations lead at Interviewing AI, working on social intelligence infrastructure for AI systems. He has a background as an iOS engineer, and he focuses on bridging AI capabilities with real-world developer workflows. His talk is going to be giving 10 tips on how to get started with OpenClaw and how his team uses it as a real coworker. Philip.
Thank you. Let's give it a second to connect. Do you hear me well? Yeah. Okay. Are we there? That looks fine. Don't see it. Give me a second to mirror this way. It's a photo you took. Yeah, absolutely. I took it from Google. Okay. Thank you for the introduction. There we are. Thank you for the introduction. And I'll use my introduction spot to introduce you to someone else. This is Noodle, the actual image that we use for Noodle. AI is our version of OpenClaw, or our instance of OpenClaw. It runs on its own Mac Mini, it's always on and always available, and as some of you, we interact with it using Slack. It's part of our company, so there are multiple people that work there. We're almost 10 people in Interhuman, and Noodle is one of them. Since most of us want to interact with Noodle, we have it live in Slack. It has its own app, and that's how every one of us can interact with it or tag it into channels and get responses there. I'm going to ask you again to raise your hands, so if you've ever tried to install OpenClaw in whatever way, please raise your hand and keep it there if you can. The second question is, are you still using it? Okay, it's about 15–20% of the audience that still use OpenClaw, and I think I share a similar feeling to you. AI moves very fast, and it's fast enough that it actually feels overwhelming, so you cannot really keep up. And when you come to events like this, you get inspired, and then you maybe not follow through with your ideas, so that it kind of feels overwhelming. I hope that the ideas that I share with you today are easy enough to implement and impactful enough for you to feel like it's worth it to implement them in your workflows. I'll go through 10 of these. I'm not going to read them out right now, but you can follow an agenda on the side of the slide so you know where we are. First of all, we're going to talk about the memory that we have in Noodle. OpenClaw on its own has a lot of memory, and it stores memory in different files. But what we ask it to do is to have a system of creating separate Markdown files for each project, for each, oh, there's a screen over there, that's very nice. So basically, it stores all of our preferences, all of our conversations and projects into separate files so that we can follow up on them. And most importantly, other people can use those files and use those projects to continue working with it. Imagine that you have one employee or one of our colleagues trying to work on vibe coding a new idea for the company, and then someone else wants to pick it up. The repository of all the code is one thing, and all the conversations and skills and things that we've built with Noodle stay and live inside of that memory. We also want to activate Noodle, to not have it as a passive agent, but to actually keep it active into pinging us. So most of your, and that's what OpenClaw is really good at. You don't just ask ChatGPT or Gemini or whoever to get an answer for you, but it actually uses all of the conversations that you had, projects that you worked on, and we've built cron jobs to be triggered at various times in the day and give updates to various people. So that, for example, Paula will get an update on a sales project that we're doing with Noodle. I can get an update on what the community is doing and what are they talking about Interhuman, and so on. And since we work with Slack, Noodle can identify separate people and separate conversations so that it knows what to answer to me and what to answer to someone else. As a bit of a side effect, that we have Noodle has access to Notion, to Slack, and to other various tools like our CRM. We are able to use Noodle as a catch-all system to get answers for a bunch of things that are happening at Interhuman. So you would have anyone opening our Slack message with Noodle, asking a question, and then Noodle can look through Slack, Notion, or wherever else, and get people going quite quickly. This is very helpful for new people that join the company, and it's very helpful for people not repeating questions again and again in various Slack channels. Another thing I got a lot of help with was preparing this presentation. Since I had Noodle in Slack, and Slack is also available on my phone, I was able to asynchronously just start a new project, this presentation, and start brainstorming about a bunch of things that I want to have in this presentation. At the end, I talked a bunch with it to sort it out and have a prompt that's going to be ready to transfer to Gamma, which is a tool that I'm using for the first time right now, and it's working pretty well so far. I just posted a prompt into this AI tool to generate presentations, and this is what I got, mostly. a bunch of tweaking was required, of course. Something that was very interesting to me and very useful, as part of my developer relations role, I post a bunch on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, our Discord channel, and so on. And I'm the type of guy who needs a bit of help when deciding what to post. So what I built with Noodle is a content calendar, and there's a bunch of solutions like this online, and that's probably going to be something that you repeatedly hear. There's a bunch of tools online, but you can very easily do it with OpenClaw in your infrastructure. So our content calendar takes a lot of input from all of our Slack channels, or again, Slack, Notion, and all of the other inputs that it has, and generates things, ideas on what I should write on social media. We haven't done automatic linking, so it directly posts, just because we don't trust it so much. But the results that we get are fairly good and are very promising. One thing that we haven't done yet, and I think that is going to be very useful, is to provide a feedback loop. So you have connections, read-only connections to social media, so Noodle knows what kind of impact a given post has. So you know what to go for and what to maybe ease off. Our source of truth for a lot of our customers is a CRM that we use, and it has a lot of connections to LinkedIn, a lot of connections to job boards, and other updates that we do all over the internet. So again, having all of that integration and all of the data coming in, and again, all of those triggers with cron jobs or heartbeats, we can have Noodle regularly analyze what's happening in our sphere, right, in our let's say personal context of the company. Noodle can tap into that and give us updates on what we need to do and who we need to interact with. And this helps us a lot with focusing on relevant conversations, spending most of our time with relevant conversations and potential clients, and not really thinking of what to do or what to write. We have Noodle also trained on a lot of things of how we want to write things. And this also goes for social media. So in this case about sales and contacting other companies is why we want to contact you now. How Interhuman can help you in whatever they're doing, because it can do a bit of research on their company. And we also do some guardrails like don't overpromise, don't be overly optimistic like general AIs are. We also use other AI tools like Granola and Notion AI to keep track of a bunch of our meetings, generating a lot of meeting notes. And these meeting notes are then very readily available in all of our Slack and Notion channels. So Noodle, again, has another job that goes through all of those, has a bunch of other context from all of our other documents in Notion, and can figure out patterns, can highlight any things that we really need to know about. I told you that I'm working with the community, and it's very easy to post things, but it's very difficult to keep track of everything that's happening online. And there are a lot of skills and integrations that can help me with this, especially with Noodle over here. So we have Noodle working with a bot on Discord, with Reddit, and also some other integrations like F5 bot. It's been working great for me, where it can look for mentions of Interhuman AI on the internet. And I can get easy summaries of where I need to go and where I need to respond. And finally, a simple tool for you. There's an app called Blip, and this one, I use it for sharing files directly to Noodle. So Slack or other means like WhatsApp or Telegram, whatever it is, you can send files to OpenClaw, but usually very small files. With Blip, you can set up an instance on your Mac Mini where OpenClaw is and your computer, and then you can easily share even like gigabytes of file, and they get there very quickly, go into the downloads folder, and then you tell your OpenClaw what to do. Finally, I want to give you a bit of a side quest. A side quest on how to win a Mac Mini. And first, it starts by hearing what Interhuman is. So we built social intelligence for AI. So I'll keep it very quick. So current AI models usually miss a lot of the conversation because they focus on transcripts. So when you're talking to your AI, especially using audio and video, the AI will respond on what was said, not really how that was said. What interhuman does is add more context to the conversation, so all the nonverbal cues, all the facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice, so that your AI can actually really understand what you're saying to it. And how to win the Mac Mini is you have to scan this QR code and sign up to Interhuman, build something cool with our API, follow us on Twitter or on X, post about your project on X, and tag us at Interhuman AI, and the best application will win a Mac Mini. The winner will be announced on June 1st. And if you want to talk about Interhuman, OpenClaw, or whatever else, you can visit community.interhuman.ai and join our community there. Thank you. I don't know if
Thank you.
questions.
Yeah. We have a little time, so any questions for Philip? Shoot.
Yeah, I was just curious, if you run everything on one Mac Mini and your whole team using it, do you ever experience like, let's say, bottlenecks or times where if there's too many people asking at once that it just slows down? Just repeat the question.
I'm going to repeat the question. It was about bottlenecks by only using Mac Mini for the entire team, right?
Yeah.
Our team is 9 people, so at the moment we have never experienced issues with that. I guess that OpenClaw does great async work in the background.
Yeah, maybe kind of a similar question, but not to the hardware, but to the agent. Is it one agent only?
Yes, we use one agent, and it's ChatGPT.
Okay, because I think I have experienced that I needed to like reconfigure my agent into an orchestrator and build sub-agents because of the tasks being simply too complex.
It's definitely something that we're looking into,
Okay.
but haven't gotten yet. But I'll catch up with you later
Yeah,
to talk
please
about
do.
it.
Can you go with the...
Since you're using ChatGPT, you're using one of the American model providers. There are not so many others, but are you at all worried that they're going to start like kind of mining your prompts or like prompts like that, like stealing ideas and stuff?
So the question is around sort of mining the prompt, stealing ideas, RL on your work.
Yeah, so as with a lot of other services, not just OpenClaw and ChatGPT, there's a lot of concerns about running things that are going through US services. Unfortunately, right now I don't think, at least I'm not aware of any good alternative that's EU-based, but if you have one, I'd be really glad to hear about it.
Thanks, Tiva.
Yeah, just a question. It seems you mentioned a lot of different connection with Notion and etc. My question is, you're probably using different MCPs to connect to those. So what is the difference between an MCP hub and Noodles, apart from the general AI layer that you're communicating with?
So the question is,
What's
MCP
the
hub?
difference between the MCP hubs, or what is the? I'm trying to understand the logic of the flows underneath.
Okay. Flows underneath different MCP hubs. Question.
So why we use OpenClaw is primarily because of all the community that's behind it and all the integrations that regularly get built. So OpenClaw just works, and in our case it's called Noodle. It works as getting a bunch of data from a bunch of different sources, and then we use it as a central space where we interact with it. You can of course do it with a lot of other tools. It's just the one that we decided to use for this.
How reliable is it, and how much time do you spend on maintenance?
Reliability and maintenance.
So we, I would say that semi-regularly we have to kind of restart the gateway, but generally it is something that we can easily do with Tailscale. SSH into it and then restart. And it has been only one instance in the last 3 or 4 months that we've had it where we really had to go in and reboot it. So I would say it's pretty reliable.
You, and then last two again.
Yeah, so in terms of guardrails, right, you're saying that you have it linked to Slack. I'm guessing there's a lot of like customer information there, client information, potential personal information, right? What are you doing in terms of guardrails to guard? I mean, you're talking about
questions around guardrails for customer data in Slack and other channels.
So first of all, luckily there are a lot of options when it comes to integrating it with Slack and Notion and also other tools, but let's keep to those. So Slack, first of all, it primarily works with our individual chats where we interact with Noodle, and then we add it to only certain channels. So it's not part of all the channels that are available, and it cannot just easily go and crawl through Slack. And it's the same with Notion. We give it access to things we want it to have access, and not to, for example, I don't know, recruiting things where we have personal data or databases with customer data.
Internal data is also sensitive data, right? So what
Yes.
do you do for that?
No.
Maybe we take this offline. Last question and then move on.
Yeah, it's actually an extension of the same one. I want to know that, of course, you are ensuring the guardrails, but my concern when I usually develop is that will the LLMs or the cloud use it for the same purpose that I have built? So what are your thoughts and are you thinking about doing something on compliance of the AI Act?
I think it's all around security and compliance. Maybe some of this will be answered later as well. But you can take this offline in the community after, if that's okay. Thank you so much. Thanks, Philip. While Philip is signing, Amir and Imad, you guys want to come up and change computers? While they're setting up, I'll do Amir's intro. Amir, hand up so people know who you are. You don't need to raise your hand, actually. Sorry. Amir is the co-founder and CEO of AdWise. He is the creative behind AdWise, and they call him the Wizard. He has 20 years of experience as a creative director. He has clients like Reebok, Nike, Nespresso, and many others. Imad, they're related, they're brothers. He's the co-founder and CTO of AdWise. They call him the chemist. He turns code into gold. He is an AI engineer with 12 plus years of experience building mobile and AI products. He runs hands-on workshops as well, turning emerging AI tools into real workflows for founders, marketeers, and sales teams. Take it away, guys.
Plan is about having the power to execute it at scale. Welcome to AdWise. We don't just work for you. We operate as a high-octane extension of your team. Lead Plus builds your funnel and nurtures your existing database, using social listening to gather fresh insights and automatically update your lists. Next, our content pod generates hyper-realistic visuals and video assets at the speed of culture. Finally, Outreach closes the loop, deploying 24/7 social and voice agents who turn engagement into revenue. Every AdWise workflow is divided into 3 specialized pods. In each, a veteran human lead directs a dedicated fleet of AI employees, combining creative intuition with limitless technical scale. One central dashboard where you can track all 3 pods in real time. You see what we see. Every lead, every post, and every outreach attempt perfectly synced. Contact AdWise to learn more.
Don't forget to contact AdWise. Hello, people. I was thinking about these words: affordable, efficient, accessible. So as a creative director, like around 5 years ago, if you wanted to hire me, you should pay me $5 grand a day to work with me and ask me to be a creative director, to do something like that for Nespresso, right? But I was thinking my whole career how I can expand my knowledge, expand my thoughts, expand the wisdom that I observed all over these 20 years, and make a clone of myself to be more affordable to the market. And a creative market agency or advertisement agency, you know that if you go to any firm, because they have tons of human behind the scene and they have to feed them, they're expensive. So, 5 years ago, I came up with a solution, thanks to NVIDIA, how I can integrate AI to advertisement and marketing industry. And I was thinking during that period how I can clone myself. So it means that I have 10 different creative directors in my company without paying anyone, 10 different creative copywriters, 10 different people behind generating lead, and offer something like that with a fraction of the money. It means, let's say, 5 grand a month, you can generate over than 35 video like that within AdWise with our human that clone himself, right? So, I know that you guys are developer, but my perspective to AI and how I can develop something, thanks to my brother, he's a brain, half a brain, it's like sharing a brain, anyway. So how I can share my knowledge and be affordable to market by using AI, and that was the moment that I get familiar with OpenCloud. So OpenCloud helped me to clone myself and clone my all partners that they are like a strategic kind of the brain, or I have another partner, he's really expert on sales, to clone them, and the marketing agency come up with over than 35 employee without having 35 employee, thanks to OpenCloud. And we create a what if board. We come up every day and we say, what if we can do this? What if we can generate lead? What if we can like outreach this amount of people? What if we can create personalized email? What if we can create social listening? And all this what if just transfer to this beautiful human here, and he use the code and turn it to the gold, and he make my dream kind of to the reality. And that's the beauty of technology. I want you guys, don't be afraid, don't be panicked about the AI, OpenCloud, or any other form of AI. They're here to help us. They're here to make our life easier, more affordable. You have more time to spend with your family, because there are some people working behind the scenes 24/7 without getting any, you asked me to mention those words. So I come all the way from Toronto, so our peak of choice of wording is a little bit different. So our employees are working, like they're not getting this, they're not asking for like having a sick leave or other stuff. So they are working 24/7, and we have time to spend with our family. And if anyone, anywhere in the world wants to work with me, they have access to me 24/7. That's the beauty about that. In another word, I'm gonna transfer to Emma to tell you a simple task. All of you in your company, you need to have a customer relation with your customer, like let's say accounts manager. So I asked Emma, can we get the account manager using OpenCloud to have a nice female form that can handle my clients without pushing me, because I'm super lazy, I'm gonna miss the deadline 100%, and I don't care, I don't give a shit to my clients, they need to adopt. I need somebody can calm the clients and make him more comfortable, since they're pushing me to meet the deadline. So you're gonna meet Ava in a second and see the whole technology behind handling the client in AdWise. Voila.
Thank you. So, since January, I start talking with Amir, and Amir told me, like, what if we can do this, what if we can do that? I said, there's no what if, even though we are branding it, but we just say when we can do this. It's like, we can do it, we can do all the things we want. So we come up with many solutions. So far we have many. And these are just some tools that we give our customers, but in reality we are agency. We are not giving them software as a solution, we are just giving them service. These are just some way that they can oversee what we are doing, and what we're gonna do right now is we are opening our marketing calendar, and you see a lot of different activities for different clients we have, and all of them is like 10 different activities we had, and so on and so forth. We planned a lot. And we get a lot of requests from our clients. Some of them get approved, some of them not. And definitely we are lazy. We are not gonna look at this a lot. So what we built is a Telegram group with Ava in it. So she's Ava. When you scan the QR code at the end of the session, you can talk with Ava as well. So there's a bot you can talk with her. So what she does is, easily you can see, and here just ask, let me make it bigger, does it work? No, sorry. So you can answer what's the big plan, who requested what, you can even comment on different requests, propose some content for each activities, and these are only internal use. But it also has some jobs to give us some update about, okay, for this brand, we should have that, we should have done that ticket, so I'm here, pick it up, it's already late. Or it gives us some reports, how many pending requests we have, how many activities, these are live, I can't show you more. And we can post comments here, and these are perfect for our use case. But in reality, we don't have only that solution. We have, as Amir said, 10, 15 different open cloud behind different purposes, and 24 hours, it's just working, but we have 4 human in the loop. We are not like letting AI do everything for us. We accept, we reject, we ask for doing it again, and we make sure, if you notice some of the videos, some of the content, it's out there, coming from me or some other people. These are built by AI, but not fully. Like, it's not like one-time prompt that you get it out. It's a human in the loop trying to match and mix everything to get things done in a nice way. So don't worry about AI. You can do anything with it. Yeah, that was it.
So you're gonna have access to Ava, but just keep it like professional.
Stein, if any questions, we have a few minutes. Anyone wants to ask?
Come on, don't be afraid.
Okay.
You probably go through a lot of AI-generated content. Do you feel like it's tough to, at the end of the day, determine what is good AI content? Like, there's this term AI slop. How do you avoid getting AI slop brain rot?
The question is about avoiding AI slop.
So we have a really good copywriter, we review everything, so we are not just giving away whatever AI generated, especially on the content part, because a lot of AI slop. But the important part is, that's why we are not giving our clients software, we are giving them a service, so we review everything, so we are not letting AI slop get out of our door and then gets like banned or a lot of weird things happen to us.
A quick add-on. Another solution is that fine-tune your knowledge and the tool that you're using. Like, create an MD based on your knowledge and your experience, or create an MD based on the amount of generative AI or all-day generative kind of data that you can have access to, add forums, all those things, and try to translate it to the language that AI understands it and make a guideline for that. So, for instance, I use my whole career in terms of copywriting, script writing, camera, lens, everything that you can imagine that is related to content creation. I create a list on that and feed it to my AI. So AI knows that what is my taste. When I mention that I'm gonna turn the camera from this angle to that angle, what's the speed, what kind of lens I'm gonna use, what's the lighting situation, and so on and so on. So that's kind of the guideline. So don't leave it as is. Don't trust AI.
Yeah, and then
Just maybe a not so serious remark, but spend open clawing so that you can spend more time with your family. That is not really my experience. Just had to
but that's the solution. Like if you go one step back and don't try to drown in that kind of the
Teach
things.
me.
Yeah, it's easy. Just focus on the target and leave it as is. And wait for the new shit that is coming.
There was a hand, you and then after.
Yes. You already tried to answer with the create file, right? How did you train it? Is it just the create MD, or did you train an own model as well?
The question is about create MD, and did you only use that, or did you also train your own model?
So we have at least 20 different models. So some of them is trained by our own data. We have our own GPU in our office. It's a huge setup. We have also OpenAI, we have cloud, we have a lot of different things, and the orchestration is the hard part. It needs to know, that's why we have different AI to run different things, and it's connected to different LLMs. So different agents for different purposes, and most of them is not out for anyone. It's internally, because this is like how we keep it safe.
One technique. I'm just showing off that I know a lot of the stuff, that tech stuff. So I train my own LoRa to generate video and photo. So I don't trust any Gemini, blah, blah, blah. I trust my own LoRa's, and I train over them. Each LoRa, it took me like 5 to 10 hours, and I have over than 250 different LoRa's. So.
Noel, okay, there was more?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, with generating video, especially with AI, it can be a little bit of a nightmare, because like you get parts of it, this works really well, this part doesn't really. Like, what tools are you using? You said loadouts? You're using
LoRa,
your own
no.
loadouts?
Question about LoRa.
No, it's not about LoRa. So generative video is complicated because you just have limited access to the services like Xfield or Kling or any kind of cloud base, but we're using our in-house GPUs, and we're using mainly open sources code like LTX, like Flux, all those names. And when you have the open source downloaded in your GPU, you can train something called LoRa. So LoRa minimize error and make like 99% accurate to any kind of subject, and then you can train the camera movement and all those things. So you're not dealing with that, it just needs you to invest like 5 to 10 grand in the computer and enjoy it.
Okay, last question, sorry guys. In the back you had it for a while.
I'm very curious as to quality versus quantity in regards to the creative perspective. So if you want to pursue something like can line quality and actually go get some really, really nice quality, have you experienced that it's able to create the novelty that something like this rewards, can line level creative space?
And the question is around the quality of the output being as good as CanLine, etc.
So for me as a creative director, quality is like 100% important. So quantity, on the other hand, that translates that word that I used in the beginning, affordability. So I'm not sacrificing quality. I find the best solution to deliver myself as a high demand quality, but in the volume. That's why I invest in my brother to achieve that, to find the best efficient way to keep the quality high, because I'm not going to use anything in my portfolio after 20 years with a low shitty quality, but I need to be able to produce more. So if you want, I can give you some tips and tricks that how you can keep the quality high, like producing 8K video with AI, with pure fingers and eyes and all those things, like amazingly realistic. And when the MC say this, it must get the fuck up.
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. Good time. Well, they're signing, and then Corey's coming up.
It's a tasty
Exactly. If you came in a little later, every speaker is signing the lobster, and we have a little game speaker, and then if you win, you get the lobster and you get to come on stage and part of the photo. Corey Anderson is a partner CTO at Crane Ventures. He's overseeing AI initiatives across the firm's portfolio of 20 companies. He's an American in Copenhagen. Corey came up as a venture-backed founder CTO in New York and San Francisco, and now sort of splits his time between early-stage investing and hands-on shipping the product. His talk is about embracing the claw and how to upend the development process. I'll let Corey take over here.
Thanks, Keith. I'm ready to You can hear me okay? Okay, cool. I'm Corey. Very briefly, Keith mentioned that Kring is a Copenhagen-based venture fund, impact fund. We have 20 companies in the portfolio now, and we'll be investing in probably 10 to 15 more, something like that, in the next year and a half. We have a startup in CS. My background is I'm an American guy. I've lived in Denmark for 5 years. My background is as a founder and CTO in New York and San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And I currently, and I totaled it up, run a total of 19 OpenClaw instances across work and personal, and even agents above that. So there's a whole fleet. I even have a part-time fleet manager, like a DevOps guy that helps me support these things. So I'm all in. I'm all in on OpenClaw. And part of my role, so as I say, is partially an investor, but I also am CTO for Crane. But in addition to that, I act as a fractional CTO for some of our portfolio companies. So that's probably the focus of my talk today is related to those companies. So this is, I've been around a long time. This is my first paid gig was programming on this thing in the 80s, and we were constrained by resources. I was a good enough basic developer, I could develop programs, but I couldn't get them to fit on this damn thing. Then I worked in a software store just like that one in a mall where software came in boxes, right? And you had development life cycles that were several years long, and you had one chance to get it right, because if you didn't get it right, your shit was not going to sell, and you had to do recalls. It was a whole different way of life. I know this a long time ago now. And I started in web development back before we really had the built-up knowledge that we have today about how you do software engineering, how do you do releases, how do you do Git. We didn't even have Git, right? And I used to get in arguments with the CTOs at the time about, they were stuck in this old mode. And I was like, guys, this is the web. We can fix if we have a problem, we can fix it today. And I would literally just fix things without telling them, because it was a big hassle, right? Because that's just not their role. But now we've had, since the last 25 years, we have mobile, but I think a lot of these things have sort of stabilized, and we all sort of understand what a CTO's role is, and everybody's kind of like locked into how this works, right? There's not a big debate about how you do software development. And then, of course, AI comes along. This is me giving a talk in the ancient era of November 5 months ago on how to use Cursor and these tools for, solo developing, right? Like, I'm an engineer, I develop on my laptop. That's like, now all of a sudden I'm accelerated. And it was really cool. I am a big fan. I've gotten every side project I have thought of for the last 20 years, I've executed in the last 6 months, right? Super cool. But in each of those eras, who could build and what type of role that was, how you built, and what skills mattered has changed drastically, right? In the 80s, you had to understand every little bit of code on that device in order to get the most out of it. That skill is basically useless for 99% of people working it today. So this is a busy slide, apologies, but the one thing I noticed, so I'm a developer and a CTO in my company, and one of the things that I noticed would happen is the business people would sit and talk with ChatGPT, and they would say, I would like this feature developed, can you build me a spec? And then they would hand that to me and say, Corey, will you develop this for me? And what do? I go to Cursor or Claude Code, and I paste in what they're doing. And it took me a while of doing this before I was like, what am I doing here? Like, am I actually providing any value whatsoever. So this is if for those who've seen this film, the idea in the movie, Office Space, great movie, you should see it, is like there's a guy who takes the specs to the developers and they say, well, what do you actually do? And my thesis is that this is changing right now because of OpenClaw. So it's time to adapt. And I will say, going into this is experimental. I don't think any of us will figure this out. But basically, the way that we're working across several of our portfolio companies, not just one or two, but 4 or 5 now, is that our agents are living in Slack, just as Philip said earlier, but they're actually doing software development. And our teams have builders, people that understand the business, and they're in Slack, and they're talking to it. And because we default to sort of a public, open methodology, I'm in there, and for the most part, I can see and predict when things are going to go wrong before they go wrong, right? So the little bit of value I was providing before about saying, actually, maybe you don't want to do this, or maybe you should prompt this way, I can avoid those things. So the previous era was optimized for scarce developers, slow feedback loops, and expensive mistakes. And basically, none of that is true anymore, right? And we as an industry haven't figured this out yet. So a couple case studies. So this is a company, a portfolio company of ours, where we had 2 founders. One of them who knew the product inside and out, but has built the whole thing. And he went out sick forever. He's out of the company. He's okay, but he's out of the company. And we as investors are saying to ourselves, oh shit, like what do we do here? And effectively, out of a bit of a desperation, we introduced OpenClaw into our Slack, and the team now is effectively building the product on their own, completely with the agent. So you see Specky here, and this is Kira and Tobias, who's over here, are working with Specky to build the product. And then I can see, of course, everything that's happening. And this is a graph of the Git commits, or Git pull requests. So this on the left is more or less what the team used to look like, the phase from June to December. You can kind of get a ballpark for, and those are cheap rates. This is in the Balkans. These rates would, of course, be way higher in the Nordics. And so we introduced Specky over here, and you can see Specky is doing an amazing job. This is another one, another portfolio company called Concevio. And this is a case where we have the company is focused on SEO at the moment. Excuse me. And we have a SEO guy who's non-technical, but he is in Slack, and he has a lot of wishes for what the product can do from an SEO standpoint. And what, as a CTO who's been doing this a long time, it was a weird experience at first because he was working with our agent, and it's called Hatch, and he would build stuff before I even saw it. The only place I see it is in the pull request. And at this stage, then I'm saying, actually, you know what? The bottom one and the top one, bad idea, like risk reward not there. And the moral of the story is that it's okay to just close a pull request and and throw it away, right? And for all of us doing software development for a long time, we spent so much time in our careers trying to avoid work that gets thrown away, right? Like you don't redo things, you don't throw things away, but now the kind of ROI, the cost is completely flipped. This is another example just to show sort of how we're working. We have this company has been sort of taken over by 2 of our board members who are so non-technical they don't even use Slack. And we set up email for the agent. So they email this agent back and forth, and they're working on decks, they're working on product, they're working on all sorts of things. So pivoting a little bit to practical takeaways, I always try to provide some if I can. My suggestion is try to, when you set up your OpenClaw, for the most part, especially in a kind of startup company environment, set them up with their own accounts, their own GitHub account, their own Gmail account, because that way you can scope the permissions in a way that makes sense for that agent. If something goes wrong, if it's scoped to me, that's a problem because I have access to everything, right? And then use a VPN. I think you mentioned Tailscale, highly recommended. And then a bit like, I think probably everybody in this room has heard of Lovable. Lovable, in our world, our OpenClaw instances sort of replaced Lovable because we ask our OpenClaw to run the development instance on its own VM. And then that way the non-technical people are able to sort of rapidly iterate through their product in the same way that they do with Lovable. But I can be in there and make it a real product. Real databases, whatever tech stack I choose, right? Shared memory and context, I think you already talked about that. That's super important, especially if you have 19 of these things. And then the public comms, when you're using OpenClaw in a team environment, I really try to enforce everybody talks to it in a public channel, because you don't want to have these kind of back channels to the agent and one person says, always do this, and the other person says, always do this, and they conflict. What do you do? It's again, like a problem we haven't solved as a community. So this is, yeah, an example of a situation where when we introduce our agent, we just say, hey, we need to get up to speed. In this case, it was going back through Slack. And then also, I try to do all of my software development with agents in public channels so that everybody else can see like how I work. And hopefully that helps. And then almost to the end, one thing that I do say for all of our technical people is they still need to understand like development workflows. So what does it mean to have a Git branch? What does a pull request do? How do you review code? How do you monitor things? And that's it.
Thank you, Corey. We have a couple of minutes for some quick questions, so keep them short. I see one hand up there.
Question regarding how mature the product would be in order for you to continue using the same approach to development. I believe at a certain stage it will be the domain or the business will become such complex that the model will not be able to handle it.
So the question is around complexity of product and when this kind of development might not make sense, or does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we're working primarily with startups that have, you know, different concerns than large enterprises. This is relevant to the type of work that I do. But again, I mean, I look at the type of the work that we're doing. Probably 80% of things need some guidance and need me to sort of set up the rails. But then a lot of it is, you know, I need a contact page, like things like this, right?
Black turtleneck.
I think it was the hash product where you showed the commit graph going up.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that with the same amount of FTEs?
No, this is zero FTEs. This is just to be totally clear. This on the left is the entire whatever 10 people. On the right is 0 technical people with me being 1 day a week.
Do you worry about the quality of the software long term if this company was to raise a lot of revenue and become a scale up and go further?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Technical debt.
there is some
Technical debt.
value in what I hope to provide to them, and we already had a solid foundation in this case as well. So we're following the patterns that have been laid down for the most part.
So I was wondering how you test and how many branches you have live at any given time. Can you talk about that?
And the question is about testing and how many branches we have live.
Well, yeah, it's hard to say because there's so many different companies, but I mean, we're also, yeah, we have end-to-end tests, we have integration tests, we have Maestro tests from React Native tests. Like, there's a pretty big component in trying to make sure that things that we use, like Lighthouse in our CI/CD, so that we can keep an eye on performance. Like, yeah, it's a pretty involved part of the process.
This SEO guy, he goes crazy asking for
Well, we have pull requests and we have a branch protection in GitHub, and he cannot push anything unless I approve it. Yeah.
Thank you. Next one.
It sounds like your role is pretty important. How do you put yourself in the loop, and how do you avoid getting stressed out? Because it sounds like you're on every minute of your work.
The question is around keeping yourself in the loop and not getting stressed out.
Well, yeah, I do have a lot on my plate. This is true. But I review all the pull requests, so that's mainly that's the way that I see things before they if anything requires a change, we're gonna switch databases, we're gonna introduce a new tool, then I get involved, of course.
Sorry, last question, that was long.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry, I threw you up there. Yeah, I was just wondering, you said you had 19 different agents, right?
So in OpenClaw instances with more agents even, so it's probably 20 something in total,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I was just curious if there's any, any interoperability, or if you haven't kind of like subdivided, if you have like one per different,
Yeah, it's a
platform
concept.
startup,
It-
right?
The question is about how do you manage 19, 20 agents?
Yeah, right now we tend to sort of purposely keep them apart. I think there's a talk on security later too. It's like, you know, as I said, I really want each, and we use VMs, not Mac minis or anything. And each VM is scoped to a particular case, right? It has access to certain files, certain things, and then we try not to let them talk to each other because they could in theory coordinate and leak information, right?
Thank you, Corey. Sorry for the questions we couldn't get to. Corey's here later, so please reach out to him and catch him. Thank you, Corey. We have a little game before our next talk from Jacob from NVIDIA is here. Before we get to Jacob, we'll do a quick game while Corey signs. So again, the game is pretty simple. We have one of our other speakers, Alexei. He has built this product, and he'll talk about it later. But essentially, it's a very, couple of questions. You answer it, and the person who answers them correct first gets to win this awesome lobster with all the signatures of all the speakers. So we'll display that now, a quick little break, and then we'll get back to the final speakers if we have it.
So we have actually more gifts. We got a Danish game. I don't know what it's called, Maya or something, but it has a dice of lobster, so you can win that as well. So two set of dices and this lovely lobster. Should we start?
Yeah.
How many people? So we got so far 60. Very fast.
Come on, guys.
72, okay. 80, we're getting there. The biggest was 60, right, Alexei, with points?
Yeah.
Gift is not enough.
Okay, when we cross 100, I think we'll get into it. Yeah, let's get into it.
People are still signing up.
They're signing up still? Okay.
Give you 1 more minute. And Amir just offered you can take him home. If this gift is not enough. So 120, 110, 11? Yeah, that's a start.
Let's start.
So,
How many GitHub stars does OpenClaw have today? Since it keeps changing so much. We're giving you a lot of space to get it right, so.
if you were looking at the videos that I was playing, there was a number on it.
Yeah, but it was very small, so.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, 30 more seconds or more. Yeah, yeah, we get even more sign up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to cheat, or we?
Yeah, you have 30 seconds to choose if you
Well, I
want.
think someone might have already answered it, so it's about speed and accuracy, right? Quality and quantity, someone said earlier, so.
Yeah, 10,
Let's do it.
5. Oh, I can see people still answering.
2, 1.
And there we go. Yeah, 50%, correct?
Oh,
That's
nice,
good.
nice, well
That's
done.
good. Should we go for next?
Yeah, next one. Because how many people are here right now? I don't think everyone's on this game, so it's, you gotta guess a little bit. But I 50 seconds is a long time.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna stop this faster, probably.
Sure.
No, let's say.
Here or register?
Oh, good question. Here.
Or register. Ask that guy.
Here.
Here. Nice.
Yeah, we changed it. It was too easy. Register was too easy.
Closest to that number?
Yeah, closest.
I actually don't know.
Actually, no, you gotta pick it, dude. You gotta pick. There's 4 choices. Choose.
Should we go?
next one. We got a couple more. Okay, what was OpenClaw previously called? I think this grammar will come in use here. We said previously.
It was closed claw, as I just
There was no claw.
teacher?
Yeah. Crab shell.
Crab shell. I bet on lobster. You don't believe it's really hard to find any lobster related thing in Copenhagen. That's the only thing. I visited many different shops. That's the only thing. And we ordered some headband, but we didn't get
Okay,
here.
I think let's go. Well done.
Yeah,
For
80%.
80% of the people, not bad, wow. Okay, what was the first name before Moltbot?
Sleepy claw. Yeah, maybe.
And this room is a little too good, it feels like.
Yes.
You guys up to our local plot gossip, that's pretty good. Impressive.
Love it. Yeah. Should we go?
Yeah, let's go, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Oh,
Wow. Okay,
that was
you guys.
amazing.
You guys spend too much time on Twitter, man. Good life. Okay, do atomic models work with OpenClaw? Ooh, spicy.
It was on and off. I don't know about now.
Do we have to
Make the fact check.
You want to call Jensen and ask him if it's working?
I mean, you can use them.
There's just a million different ways.
Should we go? Yeah?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Yes,
Yeah, I
Push
think
again.
more. Yeah. Let's go. Who's the winner?
Xander.
Xander. Who's Xander?
Who's Xander?
Yeah.
Well done, Xander. Thank you. You come up there. Thank you. And Sophie and
C.
C.
Who are the others?
Who's Sophie? Thank you, Sophie. See you later. C.
C. Who's C?
There we go.
Nice.
Well done. Round of applause for the three winners. Up next.
Who is the last person?
Up next we have Jacob
Who is the last?
from NVIDIA. Thank you for joining us, Jacob. All the way. He's Jacob Tomlinson. Building open source software.
Thank him. He just flew away all the way from UK to here for tonight. And he is, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for doing a fill for me there. Yeah, hi, I'm Jacob. I work in the very newly formed OpenClaw open source contribution team at NVIDIA. I've kind of thrown these slides together at the bit of the last minute, but I have an overall story that I want to tell you. It may mean that I ramble a bit, so please tell me when I start rambling and pull me up the road if it is totally fine. So, some folks may have heard of this group that we've got going on at NVIDIA. There's a load of noise that was made about it around GTC. So I kind of wanted to tell you like a little bit of the backstory, a little bit about what it is and what we're trying to do within our group here. So within NVIDIA, we're very excited about OpenClaw, very excited about agents in general and how we can use them more within our organizations. But with that comes like all the big kind of scary questions about like, how do I actually use these things in an enterprise environment? And the big word that always comes up is like security. How do we get the security teams to sign off on us using these tools? And these tools are totally new. They're totally different to how we've used computers before, how we've used software before. And so we have this overarching program now called NemoClaw, where the goal here is to provide secure ways of using these tools within an enterprise environment. The long and short of kind of what this kind of product is, if you go and have a look at GitHub, this is like a stack of tools. Because OpenClaw is just going to be like one piece of this puzzle. You need a whole load of other pieces in there to make sure that you're doing things in a secure way. And so we have this other piece of software that you can go find on GitHub called OpenShell, which is a sandbox technology that you can put OpenClaw inside of. And then you can control kind of what it can access on the file system, what network resources it can access, kind of what it can do from the outside. And so as part of that, like we have this like internal mandate now to just make OpenClaw the best that it can be, right? And so we have a bunch of people, my group, other folks in other groups, who are kind of seasoned open source maintainers, people who've been around GitHub for a long time working on various projects. And we're here to try and figure out like how can we help these projects as they're growing. Right? OpenClaw is insane in the way that it's grown. You saw Peter in the TED talk at the beginning talking about that growth, right? That GitHub star chart is just mad. But in that kind of thing, if you've got a project that is only a few months old and it's got the attention of the entire world on it, and it's kind of the most fastest growing piece of open source software that's ever existed in terms of like popularity and hype and everything, it's going to be under like intense scrutiny. And it's a huge amount of pressure for the maintainer group who are working on OpenClaw. If you've been around in open source before, a lot of open source people are volunteers. They're there because they played with something, they tried something interesting, they put it on GitHub. And then, you know, at some point you need to convert that into how does this thing pay the bills so that I can actually keep working on this. But as the work comes in, there's lots and lots of people out there, we're probably all guilty of it. We pick up these tools, we want to use them, and then maybe we have questions, we have thoughts, we have ideas, we have feedback, there's all sorts of ways that we want to interact with that community. But as the maintainer of that software, that can be hugely overwhelming, right? There's a lot of pressure on you to try and be making sure that the community is in a healthy place to answer those questions, solve those problems. And security has been a huge kind of factor in all of this. So I stole some slides from one of Peter's talks from the other day, because this is something we've been working on kind of actively within our group with the rest of the OpenClaw maintainers. But if you look at OpenClaw's security advisory tab, if you go to GitHub and go to security, there's a lot of security advisories in there, right? It's made the news a couple of times over the last few months. But that having people come in and open all these security advisories is wonderful, right? In terms of having like the world's leading security researchers kind of targeting their tools, targeting themselves at this project to make sure that it's secure, make sure that you know, we're solving these problems is a great thing. But it's hugely overwhelming, right? As you imagine, you are Peter, you made this cool thing, it's gone viral, and then all of a sudden you're getting hundreds and hundreds of security reports. So we have, you know, wonderful security engineers at NVIDIA, we have people who are experts in this area. We spend a bunch of time figuring out, like, how can we get Peter to leverage that? So we set up this whole triage pipeline to help out the team. A few of us are like maintainers on the project, we can commit code, we can work on OpenClaw directly. And so we're taking these security advisories and going through and trying to cut out, like, what's useful in here, what's a duplicate, what's noise, what's kind of misunderstanding the point. And so we have this whole pipeline where we're going through and doing this triage. And when you're getting this number of reports a day, right, like, I mean, this is showing that it's like an average of 16 reports a day, which is a lot. But like, that's really spiky. Some days we have like 60 reports per day. How can you, like, whenever a security incident comes into an open source project, that's like everybody put everything down, stop what you're doing, think about this. It overwhelms everything. I work on a bunch of open source projects. One of them is this project called Dask, which is a Python library, right, for doing distributed computing. It's something I've worked on for a long time. We had a security advisory the other day. You could craft a malicious URL that got it to execute some code remotely. That was like interrupted many maintainers for many days in order to like go and resolve this. Like, what do you do when you get to a point where you're having tens of these advisories coming in every day? And so one of the big parts of that is looking at the source of these things. A lot of these reports are coming from security researchers who have installed OpenClaw and then pointed OpenClaw, given it their skills, and then got it to kind of assess itself, which is amazing, and it's incredible that like OpenClaw is now securing itself by kind of pen testing itself. But the only way to deal with that barrage of information coming in is to set up agents on the other side to help with triage, to help with filtering, and taking our kind of blue team knowledge and putting that into various tools. So unfortunately, like a big number of these security advisories we get in are not interesting or useful or helpful, and as you would expect, the most scary, most critical, most everything's on fire ones are also the most likely to be maybe misunderstanding the situation or, you know, good intentions but not actually helpful. So we find that we end up having to reject or close about 87% of the critical advisories that come in. Whereas, you know, mediums, if somebody's tagged it as a medium, for some reason there seems to be more likely to actually be a medium. But we go through this triage process. One of the things that the Claw project has done is try to write out all of the security boundaries in a file to help these these agents make these decisions about like where are the boundaries between these various parts of the software, and if you can cross over from one boundary to another, that is a security incident. And so we're finding things are kind of calming a little bit now that it's respecting this file. Now, there's a big challenge I think we're finding in these tools is that agents are inherently new, right? The way that we have to think about them is new. You have to treat them more like an employee than like a piece of software. And so the way we approach software is more, the way that we approach security is more like how you would secure your company against maybe a rogue employee versus how you would kind of button down some web application that you're building. And so when we go through a lot of these things, a lot of these reports are just kind of like, oh, there's a bug in the software and you can, kind of traditional security advisories, right? These are things that you would pick up in a piece of software and yes, you should fix it. But then a lot of these security advisories are like, I installed OpenClaw and it ran some random bash command on my machine. It's like, good, yes, that's the plan. This is why we're very, very interested in sandbox technology, right? Like we're building these things that can inherently run arbitrary code, they can write their own code, they can execute it. The only way we can really think about securing these things is by putting them inside some kind of trusted boundary. And this is what we do to people, right? We give people a laptop, they can work on that laptop. We give them access to various knowledge systems within the company. They authenticate as themselves. We can audit what they're accessing. We can audit what they're doing. And so we need to be able to do all this same kind of stuff. I know the speakers mentioned about like giving these things their own accounts. Don't run them as you, because then they are you. And if they do something bad, then you've done something bad, right? Whereas if you put them in their own account, you can at least lock them out, right? If my OpenClaw that I'm running on my laptop goes rogue, I have to lock my own AD account out, and then I can't do anything. So being able to put them in their own box, give them their own credentials, give them their own auditing, gives you that kind of visibility into what's going on. Now, there's a really interesting blog post that was published last year, actually, about kind of agents and how they work with your data and how you run them inside your company. And Simon called this the lethal trifecta. And so this is this concept of if you give an agent access to private data that is sensitive data to your company, you give it access to some untrusted input source. I think one of the most common untrusted input sources is probably like your email. Lots of people are hooking up to their email. If you give it access to your email, anyone can send you an email and it will go, the model will read that. And so you've got some untrusted context coming into the model. And then these models can also talk to the internet, right? They can make HTTP requests. They can do lots of things. They've got these great tools to interact with the outside world. But if it can read your private data and it can read your email and it can access the internet, then in theory, somebody could craft something malicious and send it to your agent and get it to leak something you don't want it to. And like prompt injection is the #1 OWASP security threat out there at the moment. If you go and have a look on the OWASP website, I probably should have put a slide about it, but if you look at their website, they've got this like top 10 LLM security advisories at the moment. These are all like fascinating unsolved problems that the community is working on at the moment. We have people working on it, all the other tech companies have people working on it. It's like super interesting to think about and try and figure out. But it's hard when you're getting all of these security advisories coming in, lots and lots of duplicates saying like, have you heard of prompt injection? I'm a bit worried about prompt injection. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's really great. We have heard about prompt injection. We need to mitigate these risks, right? We need to come up with structures to mitigate these risks rather than just reporting the risk to the OpenClaw team repeatedly, who are mostly a bunch of volunteers. And so one of the things that Peter included in his talk was this kind of breakdown of, there are these unsolved LLM security challenges that the whole community is working on at the moment. These are completely separate to technical implementation issues in the software, in the OpenClaw software itself. And those again are separate from people installing these things and configuring them, like intentionally misconfiguring them, or naively misconfiguring them, but in a way that the documentation says, don't do this. I don't know if you've all installed OpenClaw. There was a lot of hands before saying you've installed OpenClaw. The first thing it says is it asks you to accept that you are not going to use OpenClaw in a multi-user environment because it acts on behalf of everybody. It's designed to be a single user application. You've all agreed to it, but we need to think about what the actual implications of how people are really using it is going to be moving forward though. Because just because you've agreed not to do something and then you do it, we need to find more solutions to that. But these are interesting problems. These are fascinating things that are kind of beyond the scope of kind of the boring day-to-day stuff. And the boring day-to-day stuff, we have a bunch of people right? So when these security advisories come in and they say, okay, there is a bug in OpenClaw and it can write to some untrusted part of the file system or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, you can craft some malicious URL. There was a thing a while ago where the token, the like gateway token, was included in a URL at like the first URL that you use. And if you're using like an outbound web proxy, like the proxy can cache that token. It's like, okay, that's bad, that's a genuine security issue. We need to change how that's been done. So the defaults have changed now, it doesn't do that anymore. Unfortunately, we had a lot of complaints from the community saying like, oh, this broke this thing because I was expecting it to behave in this way. It's like, well, the way you were expecting it to behave was insecure. We've changed the default to the secure default. You can undo that if you want to, but like maybe don't. But you know, it's interesting with the software because you can go to your OpenClaw and say like, well, I like the way that it used to work, so please go and undo that, and it'll just go and change its own code. But all of these things are kind of, in terms of open source software, kind of the OpenClaw team is on top of it. But there's this other larger, more interesting challenge around the risks of using these agents that we kind of need to solve as a group, as a community, as a society. And so yeah, that's kind of a bit of an update on what we're thinking about, and thank you for listening.
You need to sign the last one. While you're signing, if you have any questions, put your hands up. I saw your hand go first there.
Me?
Peter down here. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've actually been using the OpenClaw for a few weeks. So because it does solve a real problem. And I've actually even fixed the bug in it, so technical has contributed. But eventually I did move to Hermes instead for a number of reasons I'll be happy to talk about later. But the main issue I saw with it was in terms of the fact that we now have to deal with not one architecture, but two architectures. So we need to deal with OpenClaw within the sandbox, and then we need to work with what NemoClaw provides to as well. Because if you need to change something in the configuration of OpenClaw, you will need to do it through NemoClaw. The OpenClaw config is read-only, which means that if there's new stuff coming in OpenClaw, then you need to wait until NemoClaw exposes that. But more problematic, the only way you can do it is to rebuild the Docker image, because you actually you send.
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry.
I'm getting to it.
Yeah.
You have to rebuild the Docker image because that's the only way to kind of send those that data there. So every time you want to make a configuration change, you will have to go through the whole thing again. And I know it's alpha and so on, but this kind of architecture doesn't seem to scale. So is that something that you're looking to alter, or is it supposed to be like that?
So I think the question here is about like it feels less flexible, right? To use NemoClaw, there's a whole like NemoClaw way of configuring OpenClaw because the configuration is pushed down from NemoClaw to OpenClaw. Now, yeah, when you add these constraints to these tools, it feels weird and it feels uncomfortable. And if you take the kind of old world model of security and you apply that to these new tools, all of a sudden you feel like, well, the new tool isn't doing the thing that I thought it could do, right? I've like lost all of my value add from this tool. So we're exploring all sorts of different ways of doing that. One thing that's gone into NemoClaw recently is this concept of like shields up, shields down, so that you can say, okay, I'm going to let OpenClaw run in a more permissive way. It can edit its config, we can change a few things, we'll make it commit at that point, and then we'll lock it down again. So at like runtime, it can make these changes. And if you watch the GTC keynote, Jensen talked a lot about kind of this idea of like we went to school and we learned a load of stuff and we grew and we developed and we had a safe space to have accidents and have problems, and then when we go into a professional setting, like we act in a more controlled and constrained way. And we want to get to that point with NemoClaw, where maybe you teach it, you grow, you figure out what your use case is in a more permissive environment, and then you're like, okay, time for production, we're going to lock down, so it's very narrowly scoped the thing we want it to do and kind of what our intent of its use is. Check it.
So you talk a lot about security, but what about token limits? Many people say OpenClaw just burn a lot of tokens. I got token anxiety. Do you have any ways of monitoring them better or allowing the robot to go?
Okay, so the question here is about like how can you constrain how many tokens it's using. I mean, there's like a super interesting challenge, right? And I don't have any useful answers to you beyond like, it's not hugely security related, right?
To solve that problem.
I mean, within like all of these projects are going to solve these things over time, right? It's just it's not like a security related thing, so it's really not for me to answer.
Yeah. Last question.
Yeah, can I ask you,
Sorry.
you talk a lot about constraints. One of the things that Corey's talking about is, you know, in the old days, bugs were found through total freedom, right? So it's like you started finding stuff, and not all of the bugs were that bad, right? So some of them were actually quite interesting. But have you thought about a big corporation like NVIDIA? You have like endless amount of resources, right? Are you also running? Again, you probably do, right? But are you running like a lot of simulations within total freedom, just to monitor and see like what it does, instead of constraining it all the time?
Okay, so I think this is like a follow-on question to me saying about locking it down and opening up. Yeah, I mean, we totally run OpenClaw, kind of vanilla OpenClaw, but we have to do it in a place where we trust it, right? So it can't have access to internal data, it can't have access to proprietary things.
Can I read on the question? Sorry, just because OpenClaw has become a little bit lobotomized since like January, I feel like, right? So I've tried it with just monitoring OpenFang. This is an open source OpenClaw Rust like equivalent. That's way more like open. Yeah. So, and that just like, because it's so open and I can monitor everything it does, I can easily kind of constrain it in the things that I really don't want it to do. And if you just run it on a VPS, it can't really harm that much, right? So NVIDIA, could they do that on like a trillion scale and just like give it all the resources and all the freedom and then constrain it as it goes?
I mean, in terms of figuring out what you want to do with an OpenClaw, then yeah, I guess you could do something like that. But I guess the challenge is around like, I want to run this OpenClaw, I'm going to run it in an unconstrained environment, I'm going to run it on a VPS that's safe and secure, but now I want to give it access to my customer relationship management database or whatever. Like, at that point, I'm now giving it access to like sensitive information, and I want to lock it down and what it can do. So you just need to kind of think through these things of like, what is the use of this tool, what's it going to do, and how can we constrain it to be narrowly focused.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the questions as well. We have the final three speakers up now. Alexei, while he's getting up, putting up his laptop, I'll introduce him. He's the technical founder. He's building Ficus.io. You played a game that was built on the platform earlier. It's an AI coding agent for multiplayer apps and games. Previously, he was the co-founder and CTO of Resume.io, which was exited. And he was the co-founder of Fura, which was part of YC in Winter 25. His talk is on chat that builds itself, generative dashboards for OpenClaw. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to be showing today just a demo, no slides, and I'm going to show how I use OpenClaw for two of the tasks that I have. So one is for sales in my startup, and then also for some personal purposes, because I'm learning Danish and I want to get better at it. So I'm using an agent to teach me that. But essentially, my use case is that I don't use it from phone or other channels. I prefer using it on the desktop because these are scenarios where I actually have to be there. And it's more like still a chat, but I want to guide it personally as a human. And I find it quite limited that the chat UI is, you always have to type, and sometimes there's some repetitive actions that I wish were automated. So the tool that I built for in my setup is like a layer between you and OpenClaw that basically has a chat UI and some generative UI features. So let me show you what I mean by that. There's this command, the code name is moi. I don't have a better name, but basically, sorry, let's get back to this one. So you just type in it, and it will show you how many agents you have. So currently I have main, which is my Danish tutor, and this one is a salesman, so Dwight Schrute from The Office. Yeah. So then you have to type the name of the agent, and when I do that, it will install a special skill that will tell the agent how to use this workspace. And it also opens up the browser I'm just gonna make it full screen. And yeah, I know it's silly. So basically what it is again, the chat UI. So here I have the conversation with my agent. I have sessions here, so I can run multiple in parallel, for example. But also on the left, it's like a dashboard that the agent can develop for you. And this is not like a canvas that you see when you use, for example, ChatGPT or Claude, right? These are actual full stack apps that are connected to the workspace where OpenClaw is running. So let me try to do this. I'm just gonna type something. Yeah, yes, please. Because the time is limited, I'm gonna start with a simple task, which is, hello, can you please pull up the last message from my teacher, Toki? Then tell me what was the homework, and also add the words that he used in the email to the flashcards. All right. So while it's doing that, oh, by the way, the tools that it has, well, it has access to my Gmail via this CLI tool that Gmail released. It has access to my Notion. It has access to some notes that I was taking during the class, and some markdown files with some extra info. But also, these are the widgets that the agent developed, and here you can basically, you can reorder them, you can hide them if you want. This one is actually like a gate code. I always forget it, so it's just like a static one. But yeah, actually, look, it worked. It called a special command. It extracted the email from my Gmail, and it added these words that he used to the list of the flashcards. So now I can actually use this app and let's do next. What is it? To write something? Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, so I use it because I want to try to practice, and instead of just chatting to it and asking, hey, can you ask me what this word is? I just use the app. Also here is another app that it developed. It's it's connected to OpenAI. What's the model called? The one that basically does speech to text.
Whisper.
Yeah, Whisper, yeah, that's the other one. But here I can just type words and then listen how they're pronounced. And this is like a to-do list, and this to-do list is actually wired up to the local SQLite database. So if you refresh the page, it's gonna be updated. So it's not just local static apps, these are all wired to the workspace. But let's move on, let's actually switch to another example. Let's go to Dwight. Yeah, it's still in development, so sometimes it doesn't work. But anyway, this workspace is where I keep my sales. I a little bit anonymize them before my talk. And I use Notion, basically, as a CRM. It's a one-person company, it's just me. So I keep all the leads in this Notion table. I also use LinkedIn, obviously. I use a lot of emails, meetings. I record my meetings with Granola. So I want to have this workspace where this will be aggregated. And what I would do every day is I would sit down, I would say, hey, give me the status update, what should I do, give me who is the person that I should ping, maybe who needs help, etc. So here, one is the one widget that we have here is the Kanban board, and this data is automatically fetched from my Notion. So if I change it to Notion, it will be updated here. This is like a to-do list, and the agent actually knows how to control it. So let's ask it to maybe update my to-do list based on that data. So the agent has access to that data. It can it can also call some commands to basically reload them if the data is changed. This one, by the way, it's basically a widget that extracts transcripts from my conversations with users and highlights what are the most important problems that I have right now, like issues that I need to fix. And here we are, we have the new to-do list. Yeah, this was something that the client complained about. They said, well, that didn't work. Actually, yeah, it didn't. Yeah, so, oh, okay. If I still have time, I'm going to show you. Okay. So I'm gonna ask it to
create a widget that I can use to send invites via resend. So it's going to be an input and a button. I enter my email, and then it sends the email via resend.
Well, if it takes too long, then we're gonna just skip it. But basically here, hopefully we will see that it will build that block and it will update the workspace basically without refreshing the entire page. So this is all like the agent has full control of the workspace and it can extend it however it likes. Probably it's gonna take long. So let's oh no, it's doing the job. And another thing that you can do, let's actually create a new session and say, let's use this one.
Could you apply the appropriate theme to the workspace that matches the purpose?
Oh, okay, cool. We have the vision. So now it's done. Now I have this form and I can type my email, for example. It's this one. You can send me emails if you want. Yeah. Okay. And while this is done, the agent now is using a special CLI command to also change fonts and colors of the workspace, so you can make it more interesting. You can, oh yeah, now we change it to blue, and then you can also change the font, etc. So that's the demo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexi. Please stand. And no questions, so we're running quite late. So Rasmus, do you want to come up? I'll introduce Rasmus. Rasmus Hagen is the co-founder of Lineage Labs, a startup building trust rails for AI agents. WayID is like a passport for AI agents to promote your OpenClaw builder skills with your WayID profile page. He's talking to them again. WayID, trust certificates for OpenClaw. Please welcome Rasmus. Give it a sec.
So while we wait for that, so we already heard a lot about security, the concerns about having these agents run around inside a company, outside a company, and we come down to a question, we think, that is just a question about who are you, who am I dealing with when I'm out in the world. And there's a famous Unix command called who am I that tells you the current user, you're on the system. We're sort of flipping that around and saying we want to be in a world where we're going to be asking people, who are you? And we want to know if you're talking to a real human or a agent. And if you're talking to an agent, you want to know who's behind that agent so you can estimate or you can approximate if you want to trust that agent or not. However, my problem is I'm going to need two screens up there. You need to get my Telegram up, if we can do that. Maybe I'll just start here and then we can, yeah. So the whole point of this system is that you have an agent and you are its owner. It's out there running around the world. Yeah, perfect, thanks. Oh, yes. Can we bring the other one back? Everything was set up very, very, very carefully.
And I did it, I ruined it. That's a beautiful live demo.
Yeah, so let's try it over here. We will get it open here. I'm gonna need my working hand for this. All right, give me a sec. No, it's good, go ahead. So, there we go, all right. So, I have my OpenClaw is connected on Telegram here. Right now, I'm a
That's why.
it didn't mirror? Okay, so let's see. Let's put it up here. Okay, so that's my OpenClaw. I have it on Telegram, and I'm careful so I don't let anybody else talk to it. But a lot of people they're releasing now the wild, and they're going to be having these conversations with people. That's what we call a social agent. So we need to figure out how you can sort of detect the provenance of this. So I'm just going to take you through a claim flow. Let me see if I can do it this way. All right. So I'm already logged in. I created an account here on WayID, and I also proven my humanity. We have several tools of doing that. We're going to be supporting immediately also. So we have the traditional world. We're also using something a bit more exotic. The new generation of identity technology is something like World ID. Now I want to connect over and bind myself together with my agent that's running around on Telegram. So I'm gonna ask it to follow these instructions. So I might be turning my back on you a little bit, but let's see. Okay, so. First, I am gonna ask it to go ahead and read its instructions. At the same time, I'm gonna be generating a binding token over here. See if it's waking up. It's running on a machine at home. So yes, it says give me your token. All right. There we go. All right. So what's happening right now is I proved that I'm a human being made of flesh and bone. I'm now connecting myself to the agent that I control, that I own. And there we go. Done. All right. The claim was successful. Agent was verified. All right. Let's just give it a name. So, long story why that's the name, but it means bee in Sanskrit. And it's running on a B-Link machine at home. So maybe the story's not that long after all. There we go. What does it do? It does stuff, I guess. A lot of it. And yeah, all right. It was claimed by me. That looks about right. Okay. There we go. And now the trick was I wanted to open this guy. So now I'm going to pretend that this was an actual social agent, what we call it. So somebody else comes into the Telegram channel and they're like, okay, I'm about to, I don't know, it could be selling shoes on WhatsApp. That's probably going to be happening in the not too distant future. It could be a hotel booking site, anything like that. I'm about to pay them and I just want to, hey, let me just check that I'm actually talking to the right people here, right? So I'm going to use the slash command. Who are you? All right, and it should tell me. You better be in the right browser session here because I want to be the one where I'm not logged in. It's a bit slow, it's warming up. There we go, okay. Let me have a look, let me see that certificate, let me see who you are. All right, and I can see who you belong to. So now I get a sense from where they come from. I also have a place to complain. There's now going to be accountability in this system. We're now going to be in a system where we have these agents, but when we meet them, we can actually see where they come from. That's what we're building. It's still a prototype. More than welcome to go ahead and try it out, but there will be bugs. And we're done. If you want to scan this, there's some social media links, stuff, and other things, and you can see how we progress. And we would love to speak to you if you have some feature requests. That's the designer, he sits right there, Sebastian. Come and give him all your dreams and hopes. And we want to especially talk to the builder communities because we're going to be rolling out some features, almost like creating like a builder space where people can both show off the agents, but also show off all the skills that they built, all the cool agents they built. Thank you for your patience, and yeah, hand over to the next one. Thanks.
Thank you. Our final speaker for the night is Samir Sassi. He's a supply chain engineer, data scientist, entrepreneur. He was actually here all the way from Paris on vacation, and we got him, so thank you for making time on your vacation. He's the founder of Supply Science, sharing how he wires OpenClaw agents into a global fashion retailer distribution chain. OpenClaw agents for supply chain. Take it away. Please welcome. As usual, take a second.
Is it warm?
Yeah.
Just give it some time.
Okay. So yeah, maybe for the intro. So my name is Samir. I'm a supply chain engineer and data scientist. And today I will explain you how I deployed OpenClaw to a fashion retailer to have them monitor their supply chain when the script will be done. So maybe while waiting that is warming up, So yes, I worked in a project where an actual corporate implemented OpenClaw, and maybe for the context, so I have a YouTube channel and a blog, so that is called Supply Science, where basically I share case studies on how to use AI and analytics to optimize supply chains. And I have recently, oh yeah, cool. I think I can say that. And I have recently basically shared a case study where I was using Claude connected via MCP implementation to help a global supply chain detect the issues and understand what stores were delivered late. And what happened a few weeks ago, I was contacted by a fashion retailer based in Italy, and I was where they basically wanted the same solutions. And what I did is I just presented my tools, say maybe we can use MCP implementation or create agents, and they told me no, we want to use OpenClaw. I was starting to get worried. I said, guys, I cannot guarantee you anything about security. This is not our core job, I said. And they told me, we are already using OpenClaw in a secure environment, and we want to use your solution on top. So this is the story that I will share with you. And I will also use a simulation that I have created, so I can share with you how OpenClaw is used without sharing the data of my customer. So for the story, let's imagine that the contact is called Mario, this is another name. He's logistic director of a fashion retail company based in Italy. So they sell like fashion products like garments and bags all around the world. They have a central warehouse in Milano, and they deliver stores in Asia Pacific and in Middle East. The biggest problem of Mario is that is basically to monitor the performance. So the stores around the world are sometimes complaining about late deliveries. And between the order creation, so stores saying I want to have 5 bags by Friday next week, and the final delivery, you have multiple teams that are working together, I mean supposedly working together, and each of these teams can have some issues that may to delay. So what happened is that Mario's team was spending like a couple of hours per week in extracting the data from the systems to generate reports to understand what happened and help the logistic chain to improve. And what I did is, the idea of for them to use OpenClaw is basically to provide analytics as a service to all the different logistic teams. So if they have any question, OpenClaw can answer by creating a report. And for that, I will explain you how we have implemented that in this simulation that I've created. So you can access the simulation on this platform, so plan.supplyscience.com. I will share a link later. And this is basically simulating the supply chain of Mario without their confidential data. It's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and each day you have orders that are created for all the different regions. I don't know if you can see, but you have a central warehouse in Milano that's basically that receives the orders from the stores. The orders are prepared, so operators take the bags, for instance, put them in pallets, and then send them to the airport of Milano, and then the shipments are going to the different cities, so you have 2 cities in Middle East, and 4 cities in the, plus 6 cities in Asia Pacific. And the idea is to monitor all these shipments and to understand why the performance in the past was bad, but also to alert on the potential delays that could happen. So, for instance, for that, how we did, we connected the backend, which has all the transactional data of these shipments, to OpenClaw, and we created what we call personas. So the idea is that in the distribution chain you have multiple people. So you have the stores that are usually complaining to the local logistic manager. So for instance, Shanghai stores are complaining to the local logistic manager in Shanghai, saying that we have been delivered late. And then the local manager has to ask all the people handling the teams upstream to understand what happened and to provide the reasons to the stores. So what we did is basically create a persona for each of these people in the chain. So you have the each local manager for each region, and basically they are focusing only on taking the transactional data at the end of the chain for their own stores. So for instance, the local manager in Beijing will only look at all the shipments that are deliveries in Beijing to see if they're late. And then you have personas that are taking care of the air freight, so the air-to-air travels, the one from the warehouse manager, one for the distribution, so the end-to-end chain, and one for transportation. And what happened is that on a frequent basis, so it depends, so they are using like a super-powered codex instance, so they can burn tokens, so they have like reports every 15 minutes, and every 15 minutes, each persona is going to the data, extracting transactions with timestamps, and generating like specific flash reports. So here is the flash report, maybe I can share you one example. So in the flash report, you have like one sentence that gives you an idea, like a summary of what happened. Then you have a sentence that is a bit giving more details. And then you have the full analysis that details like shipment by shipment what happened. So for instance here, this one is focusing on air freight where we had delays. So basically the planes were not on time. And in the end, you have all the inputs, parameters that were used to generate this report. And you have a report ID. As you can see, like just a new report was popping up. And all these reports are covering all the different personas. So, and they are sent to the different local managers depending on the persona that they want to follow on their own Slack or Teams channel that they are using. And after the first implementation, what happened is that we saw the users taking the different reports, copy and pasting them, and then asking the AI for some questions. So for instance, if you are like local manager in Shanghai, you want to have the report of the last mile, but you want to take the report from the airport, from the warehouse, to make sure that to understand what is the actual root cause of these 5 shipments that were delivered late. So we came up with an idea. It's a bit anthropomorphic, but the idea was to recreate this kind of meetings that would happen between the managers, but now with the different personas of OpenClaw. So here is, for instance, an example. So initially, at the beginning, you have the local manager, which is at the end of the distribution chain that asks a question. So here, for instance, he's complaining about the fact that in the last 49 shipments, only 22 were arriving late. And he's asking the question to the rest of the team, so the other people on the distribution chain, what happened? And the first persona in charge of the warehouse extract the data from warehouse and give his reasons. So here, he says that basically they were on time. The air freight manager admits that most of the reason of the delay is due to his part of the distribution chain, and the transport manager that is taking all the feedback of the air freight manager confirms that is mainly due to air freight. And finally, the local logistic manager can give the final reasons that can be directly sent to the stores. So the idea here, I don't know how much time I have left. The idea here is to be able to enable the actual humans to have agents that are popping multiple reports or analysis that can be used for them to avoid having alignment calls, because now they have these agents that are directly connected to the data and can find the root cause of any issue.
Thank you. That was actually really cool. Thank you so much. Another round of Samir. Thank you. So we're done with the talks. We have a group photo, and then we can go out and network. So and get some food, I think.
So can we get all the speakers to stand up?
Yeah, the speakers
stand here.
Come here.
And then Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa takes the photo, and I think the rest of you, if you wouldn't mind standing up, so you sort of also have been sitting for a while. And you want to photo them?
Also the winner.
Yeah, the winner, what was the name again? Remember the winners from the game, the 2 people?
Three people.
Oh, there we go. That was one, I remember. And there were 2 more. Come on, guys. I think in the back, if you want to take out your phones, actually, no, just put your hands up. Sure. Go on,
Come on. Yes.
Where are the winners?